Variables in batch file not being set when inside if? I have two examples of very simple batch files. Assigning a value to a variable, which, as expected, results in However, if I place the same two lines inside an if not defined block, this unexpectedly results in This shouldn't have anything to do with the if, clearly the block is being executed. If I define bar above the if, only the text from the pause command is displayed, as expected. What gives? Follow-up question, is there any way to enable delayed expansion without setLocal? If I were to call this simple example batch file from inside another, the example sets foo, but only locally. For example, testcaller.bat, test.bat. This displays. In this case, it appears that I have to enable delayed expansion in the caller, which may be a hassle.
Environment variables in batch files are expanded when a line is parsed. In the case of blocks delimited by parentheses, as your, if not defined, the whole block counts as a line or command. This means that all occurrences of %foo% are replaced by their values before the block is run. In your case with nothing, as the variable doesn't have a value yet. To solve this you can enable delayed expansion. Delayed expansion causes variables delimited by exclamation marks to be evaluated on execution instead of parsing, which will ensure the correct behavior in your case. Help set details this too. Finally, support for delayed environment variable expansion has been added. This support is always disabled by default, but may be enabled/disabled via the /v command line switch to cmd.exe. See cmd ? Delayed environment variable expansion is useful for getting around the limitations of the current expansion, which happens when a line of text is read, not when it is executed. The following example demonstrates the problem with immediate variable expansion. Would never display the message, since the %var% in both if statements is substituted when the first if statement is read, since it logically includes the body of the if, which is a compound statement. So the if inside the compound statement is really comparing before with after, which will never be equal. Similarly, the following example will not work as expected, in that it will not build up a list of files in the current directory, but instead will just set the list variable to the last file found. Again, this is because the %list% is expanded just once when the first statement is read, and at that time the list variable is empty. So the actual for loop we are executing is which just keeps setting list to the last file found. Delayed environment variable expansion allows you to use a different character, the exclamation mark, to expand environment variables at execution time. If delayed variable expansion is enabled, the above examples could be written as follows to work as intended.
The same behavior also happens when the commands are on a single line, and amp is the command separator. Joey's explanation is my favorite. Note however that enable delayed expansion does not work on Windows NT 4.0, and I'm not sure about Windows 2000. About your follow-up question, no, it is not possible to enable delayed expansion without setlocal. However, the original behavior that was going against you can be used to work around that second problem. The trick is to end local on the same line where you set again the values of the variables you need. Here is your test.bat modified. But here is another workaround to that problem. Use a procedure in the same file instead of an inline block or an external file.
If it isn't working that way, you likely have delayed environment variable expansion on. You can either turn it off with cmd/v column off, or use exclamation marks inside your if.
This happens because your line with for command evaluates only once. You need some way to re-evaluate it. You could simulate a delayed expansion with call command.